Hi, welcome to Formarte English Academy. Well, we're going to be starting today. We are at the end of the quarter now. We're going to be doing lesson 16. So let's turn right away to page 100 on our booklet and let's start from there. Okay, over here, well, the name of this unit is called Who We Are. And remember that, as always in Cambridge, we like to start with a little bit of speaking. But before that, let me give you a little bit of an announcement for this lesson. Since we are ending our quarter today with this lesson, remember that you're going to find in your platform another reading and use of the English test. This is very, very important because remember that we need to uh, fill out all the points that we got in the, for example, in the listening test, in the speaking test, and also in the writing test. And remember that we have already done these tests, the reading and use of English, and you have some points. Remember, we checked them. But remember, I was going to, well, I told you that at the end of the quarter we were going to do another reading and use of English test. So you're going to find it over here in the platform. So please do it. And I'm going to also send in the platform the answers and how many points each part uh, is worth it, because it's very important for you to do another reading and use of English test. Since I believe from all the four parts of this test, I think the reading and use of English one is the most difficult. So I really want for you to compare the points that you got at the beginning of the reading and use of English test that we did, like the I think that I believe like in the first month, and the other reading and use of English test that we're going to be doing today. So, and that's the one that we're going to be doing today. That's the points that I want for you to add in all those four parts. And you can send me that, and I can tell you how many points you got in total. Remember that at least we need to get 180 points. So, for us to get at least the C1C. If you get more, I'll be telling you, of course. Hopefully, you might be getting a C1B. And remember that if you get a C1A, automatically you will obtain a C2 level. Okay, so let's wait and see what happens. But I really want for you to do this test. But talking about the lesson here, let's practice a little bit of speaking here where it says, what topics did or do you study in biology lessons at school? So you can talk a little bit about that. Then it says, look at the body parts in the diagram below. What does each organ do? Remember that here in Cambridge, we need to be prepared to talk about every single topic from fashion to biology in this case. So please, I really want for you to practice these exercises and these questions. Then the third question says, how many cells do you think there are in the human body? How long do you how long do they last? Well, that's an interesting question. We can talk about that. And remember that in the moment, the article that we have here is going to tell us or answer all those questions that we might have. It says here, scan the extract from a book about cells in the human body. What is the significance of the following numbers or times? So remember that in this reading and use of English test, mostly in the reading parts, is very, very important for you to know how to scan. So that's what we're going to be practicing today. So we're going to scan this text very quick, the one that you have here, um, the one that you have on your booklets. And but how are we going to scan it? Well, we're going to look at that number over there, and we're going to go right away to see what does it mean, what's the meaning of that, or billions, or I mean those words. And just knowing those words, we might understand the whole, well, the main idea or what the text is going to be talking about. So it's very important for us to be able to scan this text just by looking at some specific words. Let's go here where it says in the text using the Cambridge English Advanced Exam, it is very likely that there will be some words you are not familiar with. Don't let this worry you. You should be able to use the context as well as clues in the words themselves to help you work out what the words mean. So again, this exercise number 2 is very important. Again, it says scan the extract from a book about cells in the human body. What is the significance of the following numbers or times? So read it very quick, scan it, and then go back here and look at that information and try to see what extra information you can get from just looking at these from 1 to 8 numbers or words. Okay, so that will be the over here, all over to here will be the part of reading and scanning. Then you're going to find a listening part over here in your platform. You're going to see track 4 of, sorry, track 2 of unit 16. So it's going to be very important for you to see it. And it says here, look at the inventions in the photos. What do you think they do? Use the words in the box to help you. Okay. So again, this is a little bit to practice for the speaking. Part 2, remember when we need to talk about 2 pictures and compare them, and also some answering some questions. So that can help us a little bit to practice that speaking part. But over here, we're going to practice listening part 2. Remember where we have a text and we just need to listen and fill out the words. So, well, they recommend for you to hear it twice because it's listen and check your ideas. And then listen again and complete the sentences with a word or a short phrase. Okay, so this is the first step for this lesson. And so let's do it. Please scan this information. Then I want for you to also practice a little bit of listening. So let's do this part right now. Pause the video for a moment and we will see you in a moment. Okay, let's continue with our lesson. And in this part that we are going to be seeing next on page 102, we're going to practice and we're going to see some and the way of using these idioms regarding body parts. Okay, remember that English has a lot of idioms. Um, if you have our Facebook page, you can see also that we post a little bit of these idioms based on body parts, or there's idioms based on love. I mean, there's a lot of things of idioms that you can check over there in our page in Facebook. But for now, we can practice them here right now. So it says here, well, let's go with this vocabulary spot first. It says in the text you listen to, you heard the idiom be at a dab and at. This means to be good at. So there are many idioms based on parts of the body. Okay, and again, sometimes we are not familiar with all these kind of things. So in the listening, it's very important for us to know the meaning of these idioms. Also, in the reading parts, we might find them. So that's why they are very important for us to memorize them and practice them right now in this lesson. So over here it says complete the sentences 1 and 8 with a body part, then match them with the cartoons A to H. Okay, so this is gonna be a little bit fun activity because we're going to see we can get the idiom with a body part, and once we know it, then we can match it directly with these pictures. Remember that you're going to find these answers in the platform, but I really want to motivate you for you to do it before looking at the answers, and let's see if you got these idioms of body parts in a proper way. Then it says here, just to practice a little bit more of these idioms, part 2, it says here more idioms connected with parts of the body. Match idioms 1 to 8 to definitions A to H. Okay, so all this page 102, all this vocabulary part is for us to practice about vocabulary, sorry, body idiom parts. Okay, so let's practice that right away. And after doing this part on page 103, you're going to see over here part 3. Part 3 says complete this short story with idioms from the exercise 1 and 2. Make any necessary changes to verb forms. Okay, so over here part 3, we're going to still practice more idioms regarding body parts. This is very, very important for you to know. Remember, in this test, I will definitely tell you that you're going to find some of these idioms regarding body parts in the listening or even in the reading part. So let's practice that right now. And in a moment, we're going to continue with our grammar part. So take out your pencil and notebook because we're going to see something about inversion. I don't know if you have seen that before, but let's wait and see. So pause the video, do that activity, and we will continue with the grammar part in a moment. Okay, let's go right away to our grammar part, inversion. And of course, this is what Unit 16 is going to be helping us to understand. It says here, for emphasis, certain adverbs and adverbial phrases can be put at the beginning of a sentence or clause with an inversion of the following verb. Okay, the position of the subject and verb is the same as in question forms. That's very interesting. Well, when do I use these structures? Well, these structures are often used in literary or formal contexts, okay? For example, the adverbials are referred to as broad negatives and have negative or restrictive meanings. So let's see here some examples, okay? We're going to find out some examples and the way to use them. Forms of inversion. Okay, so the first one is when the verb is used in a form with an auxiliary, the structure is adverbial plus auxiliary plus subject plus main verb. For example, hardly had I started speaking when he interrupted me. Okay, so that will be when we use a verb, when the verb is used in a form with an auxiliary. Okay, now let's see another way. Let's go up here where it says, when the verb is used with when the verb is used in a form with more than one auxiliary, the structure is also adverbial plus first auxiliary plus subject plus other auxiliaries plus the main verb. For example, never have I been introduced to so many people in a single night. Okay, so that will be the example. Another inversion. With present or past simple, the structure is adverbial plus do did plus subject plus main verb. For example, never did he consider he might be discovered. Again, this is always for formal ways of speaking, or also we're going to find it in formal writing. Another way is with a simple form of be, the main verb is placed before the subject. For example, readily was he at home. Interesting, right? Now, common examples of adverbials using these structures are shown below. For example, little did I ever imagine that that I would one day be working here myself. Or never have I seen anything more remarkable. Or no sooner had she walked in the room than everyone fell silent. Or not only did he cook dinner for everyone, but he also tidied the kitchen after everyone had gone home. Oh, the other one, on no account, I am going to tell him what I think of him. It's kind of interesting. Again, we're not familiar with this, but I really like these grammar parts because they show us sometimes things that, again, a lot of teachers have always telling me. I mean, I have and never seen this, not even in college. So that's why this is so very important, and I hope that you can save all this and try to one day even teach it right with your students. Another one says, "Seldom have I encountered such rudeness." Or under no circumstances could we ever agree to such an arrangement. There are other adverbials which are followed by different patterns of inversion. For example, so alarmed was he that he fell from his horse. Or only after this project is completed could we contemplate taking on something new. Or not until you convince me that you are committed will I give you my agreement. Okay, so this is our grammar part. Interesting, right? Again, we can. I always recommend for you to maybe grab these grammar parts and for you to use your own examples. you can write them down. You can also send them to me using these same adverbs. You can use your own examples so that also we can check them. And of course, that is going also to help you for you to use them uh, not only in the reading or even listening part, but in a writing part. Remember that the essay is formal. So if the Cambridge teacher is checking your essay and he sees that you're using some inversion, well, that speaks a lot, right? So that can help you a lot on your grade. That remember that every point is like gold for us to get this C1 level. Okay, let's continue then with our lesson and let's practice a little bit of this inversion on page 103 where it says inversion. It says notice the use of inversion in these sentences to make them more emphatic. How might you write them without inversion? Okay, well, interesting exercise. Then part 2, use inversion to make these sentences more emphatic. Okay, and part 3, make 6 sentences about health and fitness using these phrases. And of course, it says compare your sentences. Well, you can compare them or you can send them to me if you want so that we can also check them. But remember, the corpus spot is very, very important for you to do. It says take care when using inversion. The Cambridge English corpus shows exam candidates often make mistakes with this. This is just an example. Not only does fashion reflect changes in how people live, it affects lifestyles too. Don't say not only fashion reflects changes in how people live, it affects lifestyles too. So again, it's very important for us to know how to use these inversions. And mostly, again, hopefully you'll be able to do it in your writing part. And we're going to finish this lesson practicing for part 7 of the reading and use of English test. Remember, in general, it says in this part of the reading and use of English test, you read an article from which 6 paragraphs have been removed. Remember, that's one of the most difficult ones. It says the paragraphs are placed in a jumble order after the main text. You need to decide where in the text the paragraphs have been taken from. These tests have that you can recognize how a text is structured and how a text creates meaning across paragraphs. So you can practice that over here. Before, I recommend for you to read these tips for part 7 of the reading and use of English test. You have them over there in your booklet. So page 104 and 105 is for you to practice for part 7 of the reading and use of English test. And remember that you have you're gonna have in your platform this reading and use of English test. Please do it again, and I'll be able to tell you and send me please the 4. Please remember to send me the 4 different scores that you got in this reading and use of English test, the writing test that you just did, also the listening test and the speaking test. Remember, we have already done it here live. So if you are missing some of these tests or you are confused with some of them, please send me a message so that we can maybe guide you a little bit with it. Or if you haven't done the speaking test, don't worry, we can just do it with just one of you. Because this is very important for you to have at least one of those scores. Okay, so that'll be it for now. If you don't see me, because remember, well, some of you would like to finish the book. So remember, there's more modules for you to continue with. But if you're already finished with this quarter, well, I really want to thank you very much for choosing us and for trusting in us. And if remember that if you finish, that doesn't mean that we forget about you. Uh, please, I really wanted to tell you that even though you finish this course, and if you need more questions, if you have more questions, if you need more practice, feel free, please, to send me a message, and I'll be more than glad to help you. And of course, remember, our goal is for you to do this test. Uh, So the dates are in the platform in, remember, you can find that in module 1. You can find the dates of these tests for this year. And whenever you want to do the test, let us know. And we, as Formarte, are going to help you with all the procedure, and we will enroll you for the test. So again, please feel free to contact us anytime. And again, if this is the last quarter for you, it was a pleasure to be working for me, yeah, to help you and to teach you. And again, please feel free to ask us any questions. If you want to continue with the rest of well, all the units to finish the book, well, you're free to continue, and we will see you then on the next unit. So thank you very much, and have a nice day.